Well, hey there, hi there, ho there, everybody. It is 5 o'clock on the West Coast, and that means it's 8 o'clock on the East Coast. And welcome, everybody, to the Learning Wing here at Online Techniques once again, where we're going to do part 2 of what we started out with last week. So, what did you say, John? Janet was supposed to do her WWW today. Oh, her Wednesday today. Okay, that's interesting because I talked to them a while ago. Didn't hear anything about that. But welcome everybody that's here. We started out. First of all, I got to tell you something. There you go, Tony. Yeah, and we'll cover that. I want to see how many people are having problems with that because that thing's been up a year and we haven't had any problems with it. First off, I want to let you know that this is because I'm going to be demonstrating a certain piece of software tonight. I had to use my other computer. I don't normally do these sessions on my laptop because I have a much bigger monitor and everything on my tower, so I do it there. And so for me tonight, everything's changed. The software that I use for Curation is on my laptop because I like to sit in my living room doing it. And because of the way the licenses work, I can't have it on both computers. So I suddenly realized, like late last night, that I'm going to have to do this session tonight on my laptop, and that just sort of changes everything. Changes everything as far as Camtasia goes. It changes everything as far as the way things look and how things size. And so the video is now going to be a different size, and I'm going to have to do a little pause between going to desktop sharing. It just makes everything a mess. So if I'm kind of disorganized tonight, who cares? It'll be just sort of like every other night, you know. But we are going to take up from where we left off last night. How many people last night? It seems like these weeks go by like this, doesn't it? How many people were here last week for Content Curation Part 1? Give me a yes in the text chat if you were here. Randy was here, yeah. Okay, so quite a few of you were. If you're not, it's available. If you weren't here last week, it's available on the in the Learning Wing page at Online Techniques. Now, let me ask you a question. You guys all came in through Online Techniques, correct? All except Tony. You went to the Online Techniques page and... Okay, so when you went there, you were able to shut down the pop-up that came up? Because I'm getting reports now that some people are having problems with that pop-up and that the little X doesn't appear. So if anybody, to shut down the pop-up, that the little X does not appear for them. So barely too big for the page, because that pop-up should be sized the same for everybody, and it should be right in the middle of your screen. So I don't know. It's been up there for about a year. I mean, I can take it down, but it's just kind of interesting. Yeah, you know. So I'll tell you guys, if things like that happen to you on the web, this is one of the reasons why I use Internet Explorer, I use Firefox, I use Chrome, I use Opera, and I use Safari. I use 5 browsers. And especially if I'm making a web page, I will go through and look at, how things look on 5 different browsers. Now, Randy, if you're saying it would look large on your end, try zooming your view out. Okay, it's interesting to me that people don't think of certain things. We just look at something and we go, oh, that's the way it is, but we don't think of what controls we have. If you start to think like a computer, a lot of times you can get rid of problems that that used to plague you for a long time. So the first thing that happens when you run into something odd, the first thing to think about is not what's wrong with the website or something like that, but what where is that? What kind of information is my computer interpreting in some kind of a strange way? So in other words, when you see something like a pop-up that's too big for the screen, the first thing that should go through your mind is, what's my display on? Maybe I'm zoomed to 120 or 150% and I'm not realizing it. Okay. So, yeah, and I'm not talking about anything like that, Randy. What I'm saying is just trying to give you a tip about. Um, we run into these kind of things all the time, and usually, if you start to think about, okay, how is my system misinterpreting or incorrectly, giving me incorrect information. So what kind of misinterpretation is it doing? And sometimes it'll be a sound issue, sometimes it'll be a visual issue. So when I run into something like that, the first thing I would do would be look at my browser display. The second thing I do if I run into something like that is I try another browser, because sometimes you will just find things that are loony. That a website will look fine on Safari and it'll look fine on Firefox, and you put it in Internet Explorer and all sorts of things are wrong with it. And even sometimes you'll go to the code and you won't be able to figure out for the life of you what is going on there. So sometimes if you run into odd duck things, one of the best things you can do is just try another browser. Now, I'll tell you, I used to be very anti-Chrome. I didn't like Chrome. But in my mind, they fairly much ruined Internet Explorer, except for a few things. And Firefox used to be real slim and trimmed down and everything, and it's turned into a gigantic blunderbuss, just like Internet Explorer. I used to use Firefox all the time, and I almost use it. I almost don't. I'm almost to the point where I don't use it at all now, because it's become, to my mind, very unreliable, very unstable. I use Chrome most of the time. If I'm just doing my surfing for, I'm on the web for my own purposes and I'm having fun or something like that, I use Chrome. I use Chrome mostly for business, and then I will go check things. Certain things, like in this room, I'm in Internet Explorer. I don't know why. The GVO rooms seem to be more stable in Internet Explorer for me. So I've used those. But anyway, so that's just a little blurb about browsers and internet problems, and I will go take a look at that thing because I don't want people being kept out of the Online Techniques website just because of some silly pop-up. So Tony, I'd appreciate it if you let me know later. Go try it in Chrome or something like that and see if you can get in. Linda just listened to last week's recording. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Well, we are going to take off right from where we left off. And this week, I'm not going to be talking a lot about content curation and what it is, because if you guys want to find out, what we did last week, we talked about content curation. Go to the Learning Wing at Online Techniques, and last week's lesson is there. You can listen to it. So we're going to go right on. I do want to do a complete demonstration of how the software I'm going to talk to you about works. But let's just go over, first of all, what we talked about very quickly last week and some of the problems that brought up. We discussed content curation. Now, a lot of people think I'm saying the word wrong. No, I'm not talking about content creation and creating content. I'm talking about curation. And what we talked about was what a quantum shift in how Google and search engine works was generated at the beginning of this year when Google rolled out the Penguin and Panda algorithm updates. And what happened was that a lot of the techniques that we always use for search engine optimization, a lot of the things that I teach, keyword density and using things like SEO Presser and how to make sure your keywords are in your H1, your H2, and your H3 tag and all that kind of stuff, a lot of those things became less weighted as far as Google was concerned, in search engine results as a result of those updates to the algorithm. Um, Google basically did a thing where they said to their programmers, here's the major question. Does anybody remember who was here last week? Does anybody remember what the major question is that the Google programmers were asked? And what is the major criteria that the Google algorithm now tries to use when it ranks web pages in search results? Grandma. Okay, there you go. Robert remembers. That's it. If you keep this question in your head, you'll understand a lot more about what's happening out there as far as search engine results. Google said, what is Grandma's experience on this website? What would she say? And Grandma doesn't mean, a really old woman. What it means is anybody who has no experience on the web, who doesn't spend a lot of time on the web, who isn't you and me, all right? What kind of experience do they have when they search? Do they find all the material that they want to find? So their number one objective became to put the best material at the top. And if a website is making a lot of material available on a search term, whether or not it's original content or not, Google now likes that. In other words, if Grandma can open up one website and get all the information that she would normally have to search through 3 pages of search results to find, Google is going to like that, and they're going to rank that website higher. Things like duplicate content are not weighted as heavily anymore. Google is looking for the quality of experience on that website for its users because it wants to make its users happy. We talked about some of the rankings of some of the world's best curated sites, like the Drudge Report. No original content, and it's number 83 in the world or something like that. Okay, I forget what the number was. We looked it up last week. No original content, just links to other content, all on one subject, conservative politics. Okay, so anybody who wants to find out anything about conservative politics can go to one website. Boom! Google loves that. Okay, so the Drudge Report is rated very highly. Huffington Post. Huffington Post is not completely curated anymore, but it is about 60% still curated at this point. Ariana had a website that as of last September was getting 1 billion visitors a month, and she sold it for $400 million to AOL. And basically what she was doing was looking around the web for all sorts of content that her readers would like, and boom, putting it together in all in one place. That's what curating is. Now, you escape the duplicate content thing mainly because you're not putting the content on your website. You are linking to other sites. Now, we always said, geez, okay, linking to other sites is better. It's good. We'd rather have them link to us. That's the old SEO way of looking at it. And I don't want my people to go away from those to those websites because then they won't come back. That's an old style philosophy. The new algorithm changes means we don't go there. We gladly send them to the LA Times or over here to somewhere else or over there to somewhere else. Because guess what? If we do that and we have high quality curated content on our site, then we're going to rank higher in those search engine results than those guys. Okay? And that means people, and not only that, but the other thing that happens is people go, wow, they sent me to the best information. I'm always going to go back there. That's the know, like, and trust thing. Okay? And so this works. So Robert, you knew the grandma question from reading about the grandma question. That's great. All right. Anyway, yeah, it's not something I made up. That's so Robert can tell you. That's exactly what they were told to do with that grandma question. If you remember that question and you remember the concept of instead of trying to game Google, that's the basis of all old style SEO, is trying to game the system to convince the spiders and the search engines that we're the content they want to rank on the top by making us appear as if we are. Okay. Now it's a different process. It's a process of wanting to get on the same side of the table. We all want the same things. We want really good quality content about our subject on our site. So that means we can curate. We can be like the curator in a museum, and we can go out and find the best content and put it on our site. All right. So we talked about that, what it was, and all that kind of stuff, and it brought up several problems. Number one is, how do you find content to curate? Where do you find this stuff? Do you have to spend hours going from website to website to website? Do you have to go out and favorite all of the websites that might have content similar to what you want to curate? And then to go out and look at them every day and all that kind of stuff. And how do you do this? What kind of form do you put it in on your website? John just said many people steal it. There's a big difference between curating and stealing. Okay? Now, if I go to the LA Times, for instance, and there's a news article that I want to put up on my website, the LA Times doesn't have any problem with that. In fact, guess what they have there? They have share buttons. Any place that has a share button doesn't mind you putting a link to their website. We are not taking their article and copying and pasting it onto our website and not saying where it came from. That's stealing content, okay? This is saying, guys, this morning on the Los Angeles Times, I found a really good article by such and such a person. It has to do with this and this and that we've been talking about here on our blog, and I think you should go read it. You can find it here. We're actually directing people to their website, all right? And that's not stealing content. That's directing people to high-quality content. So get that through your head in the first place. There's no stealing going on here. Complete credit is given. Now, every once in a while, you'll run against a website that doesn't have share buttons, doesn't have a Facebook like button, doesn't have a recommend button, doesn't have sociable on it or things like that, and it'll say none of the content here may be used for anything, blah blah blah, and you don't want to use something like that. But otherwise, you're not. Those people are just silly anyway. Because everywhere I get content from wants visitors, and they appreciate you disseminating links to their website. Okay, so this has nothing to do with stealing. It really doesn't have anything to do with borrowing either. It has to do with directing people who are interested in a specific subject to the best content on the web. Now, if you're going to take something physically from there, and like a picture or something like that, you have to watch the attribution licenses. So this is another problem. How do we do that? How do we keep track of all this stuff? How do we get things easily off of one place to another? So there has to be a way to do this efficiently. And yes, there is a way to do it efficiently. It's a piece of software. There's very expensive software for this stuff. It's been around for a long, long time. And you'll go out and you'll pay $300 a month to get it. Okay. There's other things that'll cost you $400, $600 to be able to do this. But a couple of friends of mine came up with something really, really cool called Instant Content Curator Pro. And it basically takes care of all the problems that we're dealing with on our level of content curation. And that's what I want to show you today. And it'll show you exactly how to, find out where things are to curate. It automatically puts them into a certain form and gives you a little form to kind of fill out. It connects directly to your blog. And everything you need to do it, and not only to do one blog, but to do as many as you want, is in one place. I've been using it for quite a while, and I don't recommend anything that I don't believe in, and that's why I wanted to try it for myself to find out the results. I showed you last week the results that I'm getting with a couple of my clients. A website that was getting maybe a realtor's website that was getting, maybe 150, 200 visitors a month. We changed it to his Real Estate Digest and started curating real estate news articles there about Southern California commercial real estate and residential real estate. And the day after, 2 days after rather, we started Curation. We had 217 visitors in one day. It has never been below 30 visitors or so in one day. Since that time, he had 680 visitors between the 19th of July and the end of July. We're over that at this point for this month already. Okay, we're looking at 1,200 visitors, 1,400 visitors going to be happening to his website this month. And what we're doing is we're curating anywhere from 1 to 5 news articles every day onto his blog. I do it. It takes me an hour to maybe an hour and 15 minutes. Okay, and we are paying no attention to anything like SEO. Okay, none of those things. Now, in some respects, we do. And I'll tell you some extra things you can do. But once you start using this technique on anything, you really don't have to pay any attention to that kind of stuff. It automatically ties into certain keywords, and I'll show you how that works. But you don't have to really think about your post itself being keyword rich, stuff like that. It's the quantity of good content and the quantity of links going out to authority sites that makes the spiders and Google go, wait a minute, what's going on over here? Okay, and then when they crawl down those links, then all of a sudden they start to go, wow, this place is turning into a compendium of information from all of these sites, and it blows their skirt up. I'm telling you. And suddenly, all of a sudden, we're finding his posts showing up in search engines. Grandma will like this. Yes, we're finding his posts under keywords, under search terms that we're not using on his website, but that are built into this curation. Okay, we're also finding his posts and his website sometimes ranked higher than the sites we get the curation from. Okay? In other words, we took one from the LA Times just a few days ago, and I just was checking around, and boom, I found it on the bottom of the first page of a search term, and the actual article itself was on page 3 at the bottom in the LA Times. So we actually beat the place just because our site is focused on one subject. It's all real estate. The LA Times is all over the place, right? So Google is looking at us and going, there's actually a higher concentration of real estate information over here. So do you see how that works? Does that make sense to you guys? This is what the new algorithm is doing. So I'm going to show you this, one of the problems of curation. This is not a new technique. This has been around for a long time. I mean, that's how they built the Huffington Post and the Drudge Report. Those things have been around for years. And people have been curating. Harlan Kilstein's been curating the Doggington Post for 5 years, and those kind of things have been around for quite a while. However, it's been a lot of work. You can only take care of one site. It's an all-day job, right? Because you have to search for the information. You have to know where to go to find these things. And what's happened that's made it simple is the algorithm change. But this problem of the content, where do we find the content, has been taken care of and tied right into some great software by a couple of friends of mine, John Pierce and Hugh Hitchcock. And these guys create software, and they're members of the Warrior Forum. I've known them for quite a while. And they put this thing out a little while ago, and I started using it, and it's just brilliant. And it's getting better and better all the time. There's a website that goes with this thing. So you guys, some of you have gotten it already, and you're poking around with it. I know Usha's got it, and Irene's got it. And there's a website, a member's website, that goes along with this thing. And inside there's training videos and all that kind of stuff. And I'll tell you, I find their videos just really, really, really boring. They take an hour and a half to tell you stuff I'm going to tell you in the next 40 minutes here, okay? And they have no fun doing it, and it's just like, literally the first training video, you guys, when you go into the website, the first training video is 90 minutes long, and at minute 25 or so, I fell asleep on the couch. So I will be, for you guys who end up, getting this thing, I will be doing training videos for our Instant Content Curator Pro group. All right. And we'll incorporate them into the learning wing and things like that. But they're good guys at software, and they're just terrible at training videos. So I will be doing that kind of stuff as we go along. So the biggest problem about this thing, and the first thing that this takes care of, is where do we find the content? We have to look all over the place. Okay. The answer is very simple, really. To do basic curation, you can do it with Google Alerts. So the software has figured out a way to let Google do the main part of your searching for you. Now you can curate all sorts of different things. You can curate through the software. Once you get the hang of it, you can curate outside the software. And the software ties into other things as well, all right, that I'll tell you about. So it's always been a lot to organize. You need to gather the content. You need to find images from all over the place. You need to find videos. You definitely want to have videos on some of your stuff. And what if you want to curate more than one site? Okay, what if you want to do that? Then you get into some real time involved if you're doing it the old-fashioned way. So I'm going to show you the new-fashioned way. If you want to get this software, write down that link right there. I'm going to put it in here. Hold on. And I will get that, put that out there again at the end of it. You can find the link also where the video for number one is for the last week's session. You can find it in the Learning Wing. And then when I put this one up, it'll be there as well. The software is not humongously expensive. That's why it attracted me in the first place. $37 for a one blog license. $37 and you get the software, and it will connect to, completely operational. That's one time, and it will connect to one website. If you want the developer's license, you can, like I have, you can upgrade anytime for $97. Okay. And that allows you to connect it to any amount of blogs. Now, what I do, for instance, with my niche blogging, I get these niche blogs out there. They're on the first page, and page 3, spot 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, something like that, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I monitor them every 3 or 4 or 5 days. I go take a look at them, and if they start to move down, then that tells me, okay, I got to do more content. Well, I've got them all hooked up to my Instant Content Curator. So I can just go curate another couple blog posts on there, and boop, 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 guess what happens? They go right back up to the top. So I use this for that. I use it for curating for clients, like the realtor website that I talked to you about. And I use it on my own blog. As you'll see, we're going to use it on Online Techniques tonight. Okay. So what we're going to do, does anybody have any questions about anything I've said so far? Does this make sense to you, the concept of curation as opposed to creation? I'll tell you one thing it does. It takes off of your shoulders. Give me a yes in the text chat if this is, making sense to you guys. It takes off of your shoulders the burden of having to actually create new content every day, all the time. You don't have to do that anymore. You still, why not? I mean, if you can curate every day, and then maybe do 2 blog posts of your own during the week, that takes a lot of pressure off you. Okay. Now we got to talk about what you want to curate and things like that. But just the activity on a blog, just the activity of having something pop up there, new content pop up there, whatever it is, that's going to do a huge amount to the popularity of your blog, to your relationship with your with your clients and things like that. And it's going to do a lot for you as far as the old Google love is concerned. So I'm going to go to desktop sharing. Now, I mentioned before that because of the way things are working here in this other computer, this is kind of funky. So I'm going to actually pause the video and we'll resume when I have this all set up. Okay, now we're back on the video, guys, and what we're looking at is my giant mastiff, half awake. But that is my Google screen, okay? And because you're seeing the picture, you know that I am logged into Google. I am going to show you the first part of this. The first part of this is something that the software does that is very cool, and I'm going to show it to you this way as opposed to, I'll show you how you reach it through the software. But I'm also going to show it to you this way first, just because of the constraints of what I'm trying to do tonight on this screen and everything. Because this is a little easier way to explain it. And then when we get into the software, I'll show you, now here's where you find this in here, and here's where you find that. But first I need to explain to you, how many of you guys know, give me a yes in the text chat, if you know what a Google alert is. Just give me a yes. Now I'm imagining there's going to be quite a few yeses here. Okay. All right, well, there's also not a bunch of people not answering yes. So I'm going to show you what a Google alert is and how you set one up, because that is how, that is the basic method that this software uses to find the news articles and the blog articles and things like that that you want to post for your curated blog. Now, I'm going to enter my Google account, all right? I'm going to go into my account. I'm already logged in. And I'm going to go over here to products, the different products, Google products that I have working. And I've got all these going. But I want to go right here to Google Alerts. If you don't have it, you can go to Edit and you can set up Google Alerts so it works in your system. Now I'm going to click on Google Alerts. And this is how to set up your alerts. Now, an alert is simply Google goes out and finds content based on a keyword that you put in here. All right. So let's say I want to set this one up anyway. Let's say I want to set up Google algorithm. Okay. And yes, that's how you spell algorithm. I'm sorry, I didn't do it. All right. So Google over here, it's already showing me what it's finding for Google algorithm all over the web. 6 new results. Okay, and now I've got choices. I can tell it to send to show me everything, or just news, or just blogs, or just videos, or discussions, or books. At this point, I'm going to tell it to show me everything. Okay, and what it's showing me is 6 new news results for Google algorithm, and then 6 new results, web results. These will be things like blogs and other websites and things like that. But these are news items here, but that are tied to this term. You can see everything. I always set these when I start out. Now you can tweak these, but I'm going to start with everything. How often? Once a day, as it happens, once a week. I'm going to select as it happens. All right. Now, then you could choose only the best results or all results. Now look what happens. If I choose all results, I've got 26 new results for news under here, okay? And they get down to a couple of blogs and things like that. So depending on what you're doing, you might want all results, or you might want only the best results. Okay, I usually start with only the best results and see what happens. I can always come back in here and tweak these. Now, if I say deliver to mrbigbear@gmail.com, it's going to send this to me in an email. And that's not what I want. I can have it send it to different emails, all right? But I want this to be a feed. because that's what's going to happen when I set the software up. And then I'm going to click Create Alert. So now I'm created an alert, and you can see I've got a lot of alerts here. Okay. Now this is this is kind of difficult because I actually have I've got 2 copies of this software, and we're going to be using one today that actually I got for one purpose, and now I'm using it for demonstration. I just wanted to keep one thing in there because I'm doing a lot on it. But this is, you'll see I've got California real estate, home values. I want to find out all the news about me. You know, I've got from my primary company resveratrol benefits and things like that. And then I do things like with the Morning Motivator on meditation and stuff like that. And I post, some of these are feeds that are, by the way, hooked up to my Twitter poster that automatically post on Twitter things about meditation and the law of attraction and stuff like that. So that if I don't post on Twitter about my business, it'll put 4 or 5 up every day anyway. But you'll see here's blog design, content creation, content curation. These are the ones that I've set up for online techniques. And I can go over here and I can edit them. If I hit on edit, boop, then I get this, and I can, change those things that we were changing before. So what I want to do is I want to come over here and set up, figure out what my keywords are, start with 3 or 4, and create alerts for them. That's the first thing we need to do. And then, but you don't need to do it here. I just wanted to show this to you because this is the easiest way for me to show it to you tonight. You can actually do this from inside the software, and that's where we're going to go now. This is the main page, all right? Now, you can see this one's licensed for unlimited blogs. When you get the original one, it says for 1. And there's training in here, and it automatically checks for updates. You have a key that you have to manage, a key to make the software work. And you can request service. These guys are really good, okay? These guys are really good at looking at, what's going on. By the way, any of you who are in the room who are not used to these kind of rooms, when I'm sharing like this, if you want to click that button at the bottom that says Zoom 100%, it will stop the thing from moving around all over your page, and you might have a little better viewing experience. All right, so the first thing we do when we get in here is we got to go to step 1, which is manage your settings. And when you get in here, this is where you create what's called a profile. Now, this is going to open up down here, and of course, this is my Online Techniques website, and it's going to want to play this video with Monty and me. I'll stop the video. And so you can see whatever website it's tied up to. Now, if you want to add a new website, you click Add New, and you create the profile name, and then you look for the feed, and you put in the blog address, you put in your login information and your password, and you just click save it and test it to make sure that you connected to the blog. Now, I'm not going to connect a new blog tonight. I'll just show you how this works. Here's Online Techniques. I created the profile name. Now, if you've already gone over and created some Google alerts, then this stuff will tie into it once you go over here. Connect to Google Alerts. If you click on this, it says, okay, this is, yeah. I want to overwrite that. Okay, you are currently logged into Google, and the program has access to your feeds. If you're not, then, you just do what it says over here. You're going to log into Google, and it'll give you the page to log in. There's cookies in my system, so it already knows that I'm logged in, and it'll open my alerts for me right here if I wanted to. Otherwise, you'll get the Google login page here. You log into your account, and from then on, it knows where your alerts are. Does this make sense, guys? Are you understanding me? Give me a yes in the text chat if you're following what I'm saying. Okay, so you can create new alerts from here. anytime you want. All you do is click that thing up here and then hook it up to your Google Alerts one time. That's all you have to do. And then click Finish. When you come back here, guess what? Your feeds are all going to be visible. These are all those feeds that we just saw, right? There's Google algorithm that we just looked at. Now, I'm on online techniques. All of my feeds appear here. In here, you select what is going to be the default feed for that profile. So if I wanted to change that to Google algorithm, I could do that. All right. This is just the default feed. I can go to any one that I want, and when I'm curating, and pick up any alerts from any of those search terms. Okay. So then you put in your blog address. Here's for this one. It's onlinetechniques.net. There's my login name, OTSteveG, and then the password goes in here, and you save it. Okay, so that's saved. And then you simply test it. Test. And it's telling me, that boom, it opens it up here and tells me right down here, logged in successfully to onlinetechniques.net. All right. Now, if I want to go to my friend Brian's real estate site, the Costa Real Estate Digest, I can go to that profile and look, it changes in here. There's the Costa Real Estate Digest that I curate for him every day. And why is his slider not showing? There it is. Okay, it takes a minute. I'm using desktop sharing. So, his website shows up right in there, so I can see what's going on with it. And it tells me I want to test it. So I'm going to test it, and boom, I'm successfully logged into briancosta.com. All right. So this is how I go about setting up my sites. Does everybody get this? You guys who have got the website, the software already, is this making sense to you? What you're seeing on the screen? Give me a yes if you're getting how you set this thing up. So if you just got, if you've just got the one blog, then that's all you need to worry about. You just come in here, create the profile name, which is the name of your website. Okay, good. Irene's got it. You guys have got the website, or the software, the ones that I'm concerned about mostly right now. So you set up the website here, and then you're going to go curate on it. Now here's the interface for curation. This is so cool. This is the editing panel. Let's say we're going to go on online techniques. And I'm going to look for, now, hold on. You're probably hearing that because over here, my blog it's showing the website, and there's that video again. So I want to turn that off. But you can look at your website anytime over here. All right. Now, let's say I want to look at the keyword Google algorithm, which we just created. I don't know if it'll show me anything because I set it up to be, remember, as they happen, and I don't know if any have happened since we got there. So I'm going to go here to click for news feeds. Feeds for Google Alerts. All right, there's nothing there. So with this opened up, I'm going to go to one of my, let's see, let's look for, one of my other keywords. Let's go to search engine marketing. And boom, this will show me everything. It shows me the date over here, and I go back a couple days. We're the 16th now? I go back a couple days. I've got articles from the Sacramento Bee, Virtual Strategy Magazine. I've got author unknown. That's probably somebody's blog. And you have to make the decision of what kind of quality of stuff you want to curate. All right. For instance, on a real estate site like that, I never touch blogs. I never do anything but high quality stuff. I would look here at Search Engine Land, Sacramento Bee, Virtual Strategy Magazine, Virtual Strategy, Business Insider would be a good one, Entrepreneur Magazine, those kind of things. That's the kind of stuff that I would put onto a real estate blog. Now, if you've got your own blog going here and your main keyword is, like I'm doing this, I might, if I come across an article from somebody's blog and I look at their website and I find out they've got 300 or 400 posts up there. They've been around for 5 or 6 years. It looks like they know what they're doing. I might curate off of there if they have sharing buttons on there. Okay, they wouldn't mind. If they don't have sharing buttons, I would stay away from it. If they've been there for 6 months and they don't look like they know any more than me about what I'm talking about, then I wouldn't use them. You have to make these decisions, all right, about what is good quality stuff. So if you're only getting 3 or 4 a day on a really good keyword, you might want to go back and make that show me all of the stuff instead of just the best, right? So on this one, I'm going to look at, let's see. All right, here's one from Adotus. 7 best practices for video marketing. Let's look at that one and see if we can use that one, all right? This came out just the 16th, all right, which is today. So let's click that. Boom. It automatically puts this on my editor. And what does it say? Place your opening curation after this and then delete the text. Place your closing curation. Now, let me tell you what that's all about. And I'm sorry, I may be running over a little bit here, but I want to get all this in and show you the very basics of how this works. So I'm going to be going very fast, but you can look at the video to catch up if you miss anything. The success of curation depends on you adding a little bit of value over and above what this article presents on its own. So you need an opening curation. And in this curation, I usually use the keyword in an H1 and an H2 tag. You need some closing curation. So I usually use the keyword in an H3 tag. What am I doing, John? I'm optimizing my post already, all right? And I can do some very basic optimization here, but I can do more than that. So this article is called 7 Best Practices for Video Marketing, okay? And it says here, a video is 53 times more likely, blah, 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 to generate a first-page Google ranking than traditional search engine marketing techniques. 1 in every 10 tablet users watches online video content almost daily on their devices. 500 years of YouTube videos are watched, blah, blah, blah. Here's the link to the article. It's just sampling this out of the article. So I would like to see the article, so I'm going to go right here. There it is. This is the article, okay? And I'm going to look back 7 best practices for video marketing. Well, I'm going to decide that my keyword here is not search engine marketing. It's going to be video marketing. All right? Video marketing is something that we talk about on online techniques. And this looks like, okay, all right, first of all, the guy who wrote this is Dan Lowry. He's the guy that created LuckySurf.com. Okay, he's the president or whatever of Geary LSF Group. Inc. magazine's fastest growing. Yeah, there it is, LuckySurf. Okay, LuckySurf.com. So here he's got an article here about search engine, about video marketing. I'm going to look through and see. Okay. Let's look for something. Consumers around the world have turned off their TVs, preferring to watch all types of video on their laptops. YouTube traffic from mobile tripled in 2011. Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to take this like this. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to go back here and I'm going to put it in here. Because it's better than what this says. All right? And I'm going to put a dot, dot, dot. And then right here, I'm going to put, how do I spell his name? Laury. All right. All right, like that. Okay, now I'm giving him credit. Adonis already gets credit. Here's links. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Now, what am I going to do about all of this stuff? Well, I'm going to put my thing there. And now the first thing, we decided that video marketing is my keyword. I'm going to go like this, and then I'm going to title it whoop. Okay, now I can, on this one, I can take this one out. All right, but what? Just as a hint, sometimes it's hard to get the keyword in, so you can just do this: put the keyword colon and then whatever title you want. All right, and I put it like this. This time I'm going to actually just take that out because it's already in this. 7 best practices for video marketing, and then I'm going to go there and leave a space, and I'm going to go down one more, and means traffic. All right, and then I'm going to go down once more, and I'm going to put in a couple of sentences. Is one of the most, excuse me, bear with me, I'm trying to do this really fast, powerful means of generating traffic to your website. Many novice bloggers make the mistake of ignoring the rules on how to do it correctly. In this article by Dan Lowry in Adonis, you'll learn the 7 best practices in video marketing. Read it carefully, as there's a lot of good stuff here. All right, and then I need to put a photo. So I'm going to go. Before I go anywhere, I'm going to put my cursor there. First thing is this. All right, let's do that. Let's do it this way. I'm going to grab that and make that heading size number 1. I'm going to put it in the center. 7 best practices for video marketing. I'm going to go down here to this one, and I'm going to make that heading size number 2. I'm going to go here, make it red. I'm going to make it italics and put it in the center. See what I'm doing? Now I'm going to take this out. Delete, delete. Oops, darn. Excuse me. Backspace. All right. Now, down here, let's go look at the article once more. Are you following me? See what's happening up here? Are you following me, guys? Give me a yes in the text chat if you're following what's going on. What's the value of video marketing? Okay. I just wanted to read the end. What kind of stuff does he end with? All right, I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go down here. Darn it. Sometimes this thing jumps around a little bit, and I'm going to put hold on. How are we spelling mobile these days? M-O-B-I-L-E or with no E? Yeah, with an E, right? No E for mobile devices? See, I thought it would be with an E. All right. Oh, darn. All right, here we go. Let's take it off there. Video marketing is the key to mobile traffic. Now I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to put in a little closing paragraph. Let's do this. Marketers marketing to a degree. The speed with which mobile devices are overtaking computer use itself means we all need to remain flexible and open to change. Stay just ahead of the curve in the world, of video marketing. There's that keyword again. And you'll find the future is just full of wonderful new traffic. Okay, and now I'm going to take this. Yes, E. Okay. Let's put the E in. I think it's E too. Yeah, it looks wrong without it, so. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to make that heading number 3. And I'm going to make it red. And I'm going to put it in the middle. Okay, so there that is. And I'm going to take this out. Okay, so now we've got this. Oops, I don't know why this sometimes does that. I got to grab that and put it back over left. There we go. All right. Now, is this making sense, guys? See what I've got so far? Now, I need a picture on this. So I'm going to go over here to images. And the first, it's going to give me several choices. I've got images from the selected article. And yes, I like to put his picture there. Okay? And this makes it very easy to do that. But first, I'm going to show you, you can go to Flickr. And, if I'm directing them over here, usually, let's look over there. It doesn't even give any picture credit. Okay? And there's share stuff all over this. It doesn't give picture credit anywhere. Now, if there was a picture credit, I might worry about what I'm going to do here. But and I might put it under the picture when I get it over there. But I'm not going to worry about it at all. Now, I can go over to Flickr Images. And let's say, okay, I want to use, there's SEM, search engine marketing. That's interesting. I can look up the different kinds of licenses. Any and all rights reserved, I don't want. Share alike license, I don't want. Non-commercial use license, I don't want. Attribution license, that's good. That just means it needs attribution. You can use it for anything you want, as long as you put where you got it from, okay? No known copyright restrictions. That's another one you can use. United States government work you can use. But let's look under attribution license. Look at this one. That's search engine marketing. Okay, this says this is the image. I can get the embed code right here. I can get the link right here, or I can just copy it if I want to do that. All right, but I can research the attribution right here. Boom, and it tells me in this Flickr image, some rights reserved. What does that mean? I'll click on it and I'll find out. I'm free to copy, to remix, to make commercial use, as long as I attribute it. So that's fine, okay? So I could use this. Now there's different ways. Now you can use, if I click Google license-free images, it'll open up my browser and show me Google license-free images based on search engine marketing. I can go to Wiki Commons and I can find them there. In this case, the simplest thing for me to do, and the best, is I'm going to put the author's picture up. Okay? He's right there. Watch this. I'm going to take this link, copy it, go back to the editor, And right here, okay, there's my cursor. I'm going to put my cursor in the center. I'm going to go over here to picture. I'm going to put that link in here. And then, let's see, hold on. Okay, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to put his name. How do I spell it? U-R-Y. I'm going to give it a border of 5, 5, 5. A line doesn't have to be set because I've already got my cursor there. And I'm going to click OK. Boom, there he is. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right there and put his name. All right. Now look at this. This is a nice blog post. It's partially search engine optimized. There we go. Because I've got the keyword in, now the blog category, I can choose what blog category I'm going to go to. So I'm going to put this in search engine marketing. I might want to change it to video marketing. Okay. And you know what? We could make this search engine marketing just by putting search engine marketing, 7 best practices for video marketing. Okay, but I'm just going to leave it like this because that stuff doesn't really matter. So you can pick your blog category here. Now, if you want to look for videos, look at this. Okay, here's YouTube videos. Let's do this. Let's go down here to the very end. And I'm going to put the cursor back in the center again. And let's go to videos. This video, I know it's been around for years, but I kind of like it, and I'm going to say insert into post. Boom. So now I've got, there it is, a whole thing here with a search engine optimization video that's on the bottom, a 6-minute one that's kind of very cool, that talks about this whole subject. All right. And it's maybe off a little bit, but guess what? It's a video on my thing there that's tied into this in the search engine marketing. They used this as a keyword for this article. Otherwise, it wouldn't come up. Now, if you want to change your post articles, you can do that. Here's a glitch about the system. If your server is in a different time zone than you are, then it's going to have a little bit of a problem here. All right. What's going to happen, and my server is GVO, it's 2 hours difference from where I am. So what's going to happen is when I post this, it's going to post as scheduled to go in 2 hours. So rather than do that, I'm going to go and say post it yesterday. If you want to post it now, say post it yesterday. Okay. Now, have all you guys followed me on this? Are we pretty clear on what's happened so far? I've really spent, I've spent quite a bunch of time. All right, now hold on. I'm going to post the article. All right, now I'm going to quickly, hold on, go over here. I'm going to make this bigger so that it fills up the movie screen and your screen too. And I'm going to go to my blog. There is Online Techniques. And let's see what happens if I refresh this. I hope it worked and it didn't just schedule it. 7 best practices for video marketing. Boom. Okay, there's the post. Video marketing means traffic. It's live on my blog. All right, and the video and all that stuff is there. And if I want to see the article, I click it. And there we are. All right, opens in a new window. So we can read his article and come back to the Online Techniques website. All right, I'm going to come out of desktop sharing We're going to go through some questions here. I want to make one other statement real quick about what you saw in there. It also hooks up to your Ezine Articles account. You can also curate articles onto your blog from Ezine Articles. Now with those, you do not link directly. You actually put them on your blog. But this is advanced stuff. You don't want to do it all the time. 1 or 2 a month on one blog is all you should do. Okay, Ezine Articles likes that. No more than that. And if you're doing a whole bunch of curating, you don't want to curate more than 250 over a year period through your account, or you'll get into trouble. You have to make special arrangements with them. So there are some rules, and we'll teach that as we go on in future classes about this stuff. But you can use Ezine Articles as well. And you can also go out and find websites that don't come up in your alerts and just keep an eye on them and curate them just the same way as you saw this happening right now. So we got some questions going on here. Let's see. I spelled Dan's name in lowercase. Wow. Somebody should take me out and shoot me. Michael, should you add your signature at the end of the block? No, your signature? You mean your name or something like that? What I usually put at the end is the keyword. People know what website they're on. If you're on Online Techniques, it says posted by something or other. No, I don't think you have to do that. Any questions? Any other questions? Okay. Well, that's it, guys. This thing really works. It's really cool. When you get used to it, you can see how fast you can do this. You can go pick up 3 or 4 or 5 articles really fast, and when you get used to, you don't even have to do all the writing that I was doing. That's what I'm doing, Michael. It's onlinetechniques.net/curator pro. That's it. All right. And if anybody needs it later, it'll be, like I say, we'll be teaching this stuff. We'll be teaching how to use it. There's a lot of teaching inside and in the website that goes with it. And I recommend it to anybody who wants to do any curation on their stuff because it makes it really, really easy. So that's it for that. I don't know where Janet and Don are, so the heck with them. But I know that that's where I'm going to be at noon on noon Eastern, 9 a.m. on what's that day? Saturday. That's where I always am, and I don't know what they're going to be talking about that day, but I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. And next week, come on, thing. Hello. Great. Next week, I don't have the slightest idea what I'm doing here. If anybody has any suggestions, are we frozen or something? Nope, we're not frozen. There we go. I don't have the slightest idea what we're doing next week. If anybody has any suggestions, find me online or anything like that, and I'd be glad to listen to them. Okay, if you have any questions, you can find me on Skype at Steve.Gaghagen. I hope you enjoyed yourself tonight. It was a little longer than I thought, but sorry about that. Sometimes that happens. So if you need help with this thing or how to get it or anything like that, I'd love to have a whole bunch of people using it. We're having wonderful results with it, seriously, and putting up content like crazy. So until next week, I'll get announcements out as to what we're going to do. Have a great evening, everybody, and I will see you online. Thank you for being here in the Learning Wing at Online Techniques. Bye-bye.